At the beginning, it was just an idea. A thought that one day we would be the first to explore the Antarctic, and with time, that thought grew into fact. On my first expedition, my mind was captivated from the beginning, and deep within the idea to go back was the need for money. My overwhelming support for the idea drew in other supporters as well. We got approval, and after months of planning, I was ready to pick a crew. My head spun at the thought that in just a few months we would be on an expedition through the dangerous Weddell Sea and the Antarctic. I didn't bother to waste time on picking the men because I figured the men I chose would not need special skills, but determination and the need for survival. I judged their character, and if they fit with the group, then they were chosen. People looked down on my methods, but initially it made sense. Finally, we were ready to be on our way. The long years of preparation were over, the begging, the finagling, all finished. The simple act of sailing had carried me beyond the world of reversals, frustrations, and inanities. And in the space of a few short hours, life had been reduced from a highly complex existence with 1,000 petty problems to one of the barest simplicity, in which only one real task remained, the achievement of the goal. The start was easy. Everyone was carefree and excited to finally be on our way. We had good stores of food, and we were relatively warm and dry. The hardship was not yet upon us, and my task was to make sure that everyone did his job. We didn't have any real stress or strain until the pressure hit. Aside from the darkness in the wintertime, everyone was pretty calm compared to the state that we would be in when we returned. I observed the men, and the only one who seemed to get on everyone's nerves was Ord Lees. For all his undesirable traits, however, Ord Lees appeared to be incapable of malice. Most of the men wrote him off as a real fool, so that when he was most infuriating, he was also rather ludicrous. The real stress began once we left the ship. Nothing ever seemed to be completely dry. Clothes were either wet or frozen, and on some days the wind was inescapable. On the ice, there was the added pressure that at any time there could be a crack and we would have to evacuate. There was also the need for food. We took what we could, but not much came around our camp. Multiple times we were forced to push forward just to ensure that everyone would stay alive. We had to try everything we could to keep our bodies alive. Once we took the ships to try and get to Elephant Island, the amount of strain every day was more than anyone could imagine. Our skin was irritated from the seawater. Frostbite threatened to take our feet. The amount of hunger had been diminished, but was replaced with sickness, and our bodies seemed to be continuously stiff. The men complained more, and it took all of my patience and all of us working together to try and achieve the ultimate goal, which now had become survival. Our goal had been to cross the Antarctic, but we hadn't even made it onto the continent. No one had gotten a full night's sleep since we left the ship, and it was as if our souls were being worn down to the very core every second. Dehydration weakened our bodies, and the men were starting to give up hope. We faced challenges every day that people living normal lives wouldn't even imagine to face. My job was becoming harder and harder to do. The men were weary, and just like me, their bodies seemed to weaken daily. The simplicity of life was just to survive, and even that was becoming a chore. The simplicity of life was just to survive, and even that was becoming a chore. The stress of having to worry about the men made me even more tired. I was tired of the cold. I was tired of the lack of food, the sickness, the complaining, and the pain. I was ready for everyone to be home. By the time the party of 5 left Elephant Island, the men were ready to give their last attempt at trying to get home and get land. Our goal was to reach the tip of South Georgia. If we accomplished this, we would be able to send another ship back to save the others. If we didn't, they would die. This was the most strain that the men and I had faced yet. There was another thing to worry about, and this was all on us. There was no turning back. Either we would fail or we wouldn't, and that is why we were so weary. Nothing could go wrong. Having got so close, my old familiar caution returned, and I was determined that nothing was to go wrong now. I was once carefree and excited by the world, but by the time I returned to land and found help, the life had been sucked out of me. The strain of having to live in such harsh conditions was too much, and it changed me as a man. Not only did I have to face those conditions, but I had to worry about the crew as well. The only pride that I had left was to say that all of us made it home alive. Yet I felt a profound sense of satisfaction and accomplishment to be standing at last on land, surrounded by my men.